Okay, guys, hi. I'm standing outside today on another drizzly uh, Sunday afternoon. Wanted to talk to you about something that I'm asked about a lot. I get these questions sometimes about what's happening in Sudan and also why I'm not really talking much about Sudan, um, especially online. And sometimes I actually do public talks and things like that as well. But here's the thing, all right? What's happening in Sudan is horrific. It is literally the world's worst humanitarian crisis. I mean, there's really nothing that's going on in the world that's worse than there. Now, there are other crises. Yes, I think it's crises. There are other crises, but when it comes to like the goat right now, that dubious distinction belongs to Sudan. So, okay. So, Steve, why aren't you talking about Sudan as much as you're talking about Israel and Gaza and the West Bank and those things? Okay. All right. There's a method to my madness. I want you guys to know that. I did write down some notes for you because I want to give you guys the most accurate, information, most up to date. Uh, I sound like a news anchor. The most accurate, up to date information. Okay, look, I'm trying to spit the facts, y'all. I'm trying to tell you what's really going on out here in these streets. Okay, these are the facts as far as I'm concerned about what's happening in Sudan and why I don't really talk about it very much, especially on social media. Okay, first let me just tell you, for those who don't know, when I say Sudan has the worst um, humanita- humanitarian crises, I have to try to say this right. Um, there are approximately 12 million people, if I'm not mistaken, at this time, 12 million people who have been displaced, who are in a hunger situation, a homeless situation, a famine situation. This is this is by far, bigger and worse than anything else that's happening anywhere in the world. Um, the overall massacres that have taken place. Uh, so let me maybe back up a little bit. You've got two factions who are fighting each other in Sudan, and what they're fighting for is control over the region. And the reason they're fighting for control over the region is because outside actors, okay, not the factions who are actually fighting, not just them, but the outside influencers and actors from other nations want control of those resources, and they want control of that region because it's strategic for power, transportation, all kinds of things that they can gain control over if they have that region. All right, and so once again, it does come down to power. It comes to and money. So if I can get power, and if I can get, or rather, if I can get Sudan, I can get power and money. All right, all right. So they're saying we're willing to just pump all of these dollars into the side that I'm backing. This is what the other outside factors, outside actors are doing. If I can pump more money into my side so that they win, when they win control, I'll be able to control them. They'll be my puppet government. So this is what you have actually happening right now. This is what you see happening in Sudan. You know what? It's so cloudy and it's drizzly out here. I don't know. Steve, why are you wearing sunglasses when there's no sun? Good question. Um, there was, but it went away. Okay, so let me just give you some numbers here. So there's ethnic violence, okay? Because what they've done is they've come in and they've divided these people in the Sudan region ethnically. All right, now pay attention to what I'm saying, because you're going to pick up on some of this when it gets back to the basics about what's happening in the world and politically. So they've said, okay, you know what, you guys are you, they are them. We're going to back you so you can beat them. You could have an advantage over them. You see how it works? So we're seeing threats of genocide. I'm not sure at this point right now in 2025 that the United Nations and the ICC have determined that there's a genocide taking place. I think they may have already. I'm not sure. There are the usual thing that unfortunately happens in a war. The R word for sexual violence is happening rampantly because that's just one of the evil things that men do to women when these things ramp up. We've got, so far, we've got untold massacres, meaning that there are things that have happened out there. We haven't even heard the whole story yet. I mean, we've just come upon some situations where we can see something that's happened, but we don't know what the whole detail was. But it basically was a massacre. Famine, hunger, starvation, that's taking place. Mass displacement. That means people are being moved from location to location to location. All right? This is in Sudan now. And we're talking about, like I said, millions and millions, up to 12 million people. Imagine that. Imagine a city in the United States that has 12 million people. Okay, so now we're thinking what? We're thinking New York, Los Angeles, right? We're thinking the Houston area. Now imagine those people all having to leave and go someplace. I don't know where, wherever they're told they have to go. All right, you got to get up, you got to get out, leave your stuff because you can't carry everything. This has happened, has been happening over there in Sudan. The world's communities have gotten together, the humanitarian communities of the world have gotten together and said, let's put a stop to this. All right. Now that's not easy to do, but they said, well, okay, we can't stop it right now, so let's make sure those people have food and clothes and shelter and some semblances of creature comforts. So they've started sending trucks. They've started sending trucks with aid. What happened to those trucks? Anybody know? They've gotten obstructed. They've been obstructed and they've been attacked by drones. There is massive bombings that have taken place of aid trucks going in to help the people who've been displaced. Why? Because we need those people to suffer. Not us, but I mean, the people who are fighting, the people who are paying for the fighting need those people to suffer. Because that's what's going to bring a halt, they hope, to this conflict. Will make the other side give up. Says, oh, we're suffering too bad, we have to quit this. All right, so what is the United States doing? And this is the important part that I really want to get to. What is the United States of America doing in and around and during the conflict in Sudan? Now, I'm sorry it took me 8 minutes to get to this point, but I just want to make sure that people understand what's going on over there before I get to this part. Okay, so the United States has so far given unmatched funding. Unmatched funding. Do you understand what that means? That means nobody else in the world is funding the aid and the just whatever financial assistance that is necessary for these humanitarian organizations to get over there and do what they need to do to help these people. Nobody has done more than the United States. We have response assessment teams, which means that when we give this money, we want to know that it's going to do some good. We want to know the efficacy of the money that we've donated, that we've spent. We have assessment teams on the ground over there who are saying, hey, you know what? This is more effective than that. So next time we're going to deploy more money this way than that way. You see? That's what, and that's efficient. We need that. We need that type of efficiency on the ground. So we have those teams. We have our own teams in the United States, USAID, who are also distributing humanitarian aid. Okay, and we've had that up until February, and I'm getting to that point. We've had that up until February, where we were making sure that not only were we helping the other organizations, but we ourselves, United States of America, we were over there also doing what we could do with providing funding and assistance and so forth. Okay, so I guess the ICC was kind of wavering on, I don't know, did they use chemical weapons? Because that's a whole other thing. If they use chemical weapons, then we have to, cite them for it. And the United States has pushed. No, yes, the United States says, yes, they use chemical weapons, cite them for it. You see? And both sides. So we don't necessarily take a side here. We're saying, well, if we're going to end this war, we got to end it by assessing violations on both sides. And so this is what we've done. So we say, yes, they have used chemical weapons, cite both sides for it. That's a war crime. The ICC was kind of wavering, the United Nations kind of wavering and saying, is this really a genocide? Because does it meet the qualifications of a genocide? The United States says yes, it meets the assess them for a genocide, cite them for it, all right? Make them pay for the genocide that they're doing when the time comes. We can't do anything about it right now. We can't haul them all into court right now, but when the time comes, this is going to be on the chart, on the record to charge against them. So we have chemical weapons and genocide, and that's assessed by the United States and pushed through, all right? Targeted sanctions. This is important. Let me tell you why, okay? Some of the outside actors who are funding this fighting, some of these actors are doing this as our allies, as United States allies, as our friends. You understand? Some of them are our friends who want strategic advantage in that area. The United States says we're going to do targeted sanctions against everybody who's doing this, everybody on both sides. That includes our friends. We don't care if we're allies of yours or not. We are going to say you get sanctioned too. Okay? And some of these sanctions, you know, I'm trying not to get into too much of the weeds, because then this is already going to be like maybe a 15-minute video or so. I'm trying to keep it as short as possible. I don't want to go to 20-30 minutes on this. Nobody's going to watch it that long probably anyway. So with these targeted sanctions, we're going after our own friends to sanction them too. We're talking with the United Nations and asking them to do more, step up their game a little bit here, and make some more inroads into ending this conflict. And that's a couple of the ways, by saying yes, these are genocides, yes, these are chemical weapons, and yes, we should sanction everybody involved. We've actually closed our embassy, our U.S. embassy. We had a U.S. embassy in Darfur, Darfur, Sudan. We closed that. We're like, no, we're out of here. Okay. So I mentioned February, and we were the largest funder of aid up until February. Well, as you know, Donald Trump was sworn in January. I think it was January 20th or something like that of this year. So the very next month, he took a look at how much money was going towards the alleviation of suffering and working to end the fighting in Sudan. And Donald Trump says, we're not spending that money on those people. Okay, I'm sorry if this is going to get too political for somebody, but you know what he thinks. You know what he thinks of these types of countries. You know what kind of hole he thinks these kind of countries are. He can't imagine spending that kind of money. We're talking about $500 million or so that have been spent of United States money. So Donald Trump says no, cut that budget, and cut it drastically. So it has been cut by the state, I think it was the State Department, by 83%. Okay? Imagine anything, any humanitarian aid organization, what have you, cutting the funding to help homeless, hungry people by 83%. And you're the biggest donor. So you know what that's going to result in, right? Okay, so that's where we are. So Stephen, why haven't you been protesting about Sudan? All right, as you can see from what I've spoken about here, Sudan is not our baby. You understand? We're not the ones who foster the war, the famine, the genocide that's happening in Sudan. That's not us. We have been on the right side of this conflict by all intents and purposes, and everything that I have examined, speaking with my representative, well, her office, because she's often too busy to come to the phone, but speaking with her office, we're doing all the right stuff, okay, when it comes to Sudan, when it comes to Darfur. However, when it comes to Israel and Gaza, we are funding what's happening in Gaza. We're funding the starvation. We're funding the bombing of schools and hospitals and churches and mosques and farm fields, okay? we're funding everything that is anything, you know, in Gaza, in Israel. Put it this way: we don't have public representatives, elected representatives in the United States who are signing bombs for Sudan. We have them signing bombs for Israel. Okay? They're signing them and sending them over and saying, do whatever you want to do with this. Bomb whoever you want to bomb with this. Decapitate, kill, dismember, whoever you want to do, you know, that's the reason for my protest. So I see we're over 15 minutes now, which is what I had set as my limit. And so I will just end by saying, as a religious Jew, I have an obligation to speak up when someone is committing atrocities in the name of God and or the Jewish people, because it is Chilul Hashem in Hebrew, which basically means we're desecrating the name of God. Desecrating the name of God in the eyes of the world, in the eyes of non-Jews. And what that does is it makes the non-Jews look and say, what kind of God is this? What kind of God supports this? So I speak up because of that reason. So I hope I laid this out well for you guys. I hope you guys understand now. It's not that I'm, oh, and by the way, there may be protests coming, because now that Donald Trump has cut the funding so badly that has been needed, and it's the need is growing, okay guys, it's not diminishing. He didn't cut it because it's diminishing. I'm glad I remembered to say that. He cut the funding because he didn't like it going to S-hole countries, an S-hole country. Okay, so here we are, all right? Guys, thanks for listening. If I left anything out, please ask a question in the comments. Hopefully you understand where I'm coming from and why I have chosen to speak up so much about Israel and Gaza and so little about what's been happening over the past couple of years or so, and by comparison in Darfur and in Sudan. Okay? Enjoy the rest of your day, guys. Looks like I'm about to get rained out. I can feel the drops. I don't know if you can see it, but anyway, that's okay. It's Florida. Take care, guys. Bye.